after a few minutes because every technical communication system will fail very soon. After a few minutes because every technical communication system will fail very soon.
Welcome, dear strategists, to a newest interview episode. Today we have former major of the Austrian armed forces with us, Herrn Herbert Saurugg, who is also the president of the Society for Crisis Resilience. Mr. Saurugg, welcome here, and please could you shortly elaborate on your background and your current doings, workings?
Thank you for the invitation and the possibility to speak with you. I'm a former career officer of the Austrian Armed Forces, where I've been in the cybersecurity section. And I'm dealing now since 15 years with the topic of blackout, sub-regional power cut, and also infrastructure and supply chain breakdown. And I'm trying to convince people to prepare for such events because I fear they will get more likely in future, especially in Middle Europe. And I think we should be prepared for such events. And it will, even if it's not a blackout, it could be also another event which will disrupt our supply chains, and therefore we should be better prepared.
Yeah, especially regarding the changes of the makeup of the European energy supply in the past years, we have seen several interesting developments. Could you give us a little examples on the current output and projected necessities, and how likely has a blackout more become in the past decade, for example?
Yeah. Yeah, we are in a huge energy transformation from fossil to renewable energy resources. And this is not only to change the source of energy, but to change the whole system. And this is not happening at the moment. We are changing single parts of the system, but we don't develop the whole system for the new thing. And to show you how important is the preparation, we have had this year already two blackouts. The first happened in Spain and Portugal in April, and 3 weeks later we had also a blackout in North Macedonia, and a few weeks later again a large power cut in Czechoslovakia. And 1 year ago in June, we had a blackout on the Balkan. And in the 60 years before, we had only two blackouts in Europe. The first 1976 and the second 2003 in Italy. So we have different examples that they get more, and I fear it will be not the last event we have seen in this year.
Yeah, especially with the renewables, their output fluctuates massively, and with no, none worth mentioning storage capacity so far, it becomes ever more hard to mitigate any problems. As many people might not know, we always need a regarding stable currency to have the whole grid running, and if we have too low or too high, still we basically have to take the whole network down for this. Um, so, to keep this short for today, what would be your recommendations starting off at for businesses, for private persons, and last off for the regarding politicians?
Now, the first step is to accept that there is no thing like 100% security, also not in the power supply system. Even there is done a very great job every day, especially in the current um, situation. And this is the first step to accept that there could be a major blackout also in Europe, and then to start to think about what could this mean to my organization, to my enterprise, how will it affect us, and what have we to do to mitigate the damages which could occur, and then also to plan who has to do what at which time, because you will not be able to communicate anymore after a few minutes, because every technical communication system will fail very soon. And then also the employees have to know what to do without getting an order, and then also how they can come home, because also traffic will collapse very soon after such an event. And then it's very important that they have a safe place if they are not able to come home at the right time, especially in winter time, where it gets really early dark. Because if you have an accident outside, there will be no emergency service, and so it's better to stay where you are in safe at the safe place. Uh, yeah, and the next step is to think about what is necessary to restart my organization, the systems again, and it will be not only the power supply back, but also the communication systems must be run again, and also uh, the whole logistic must start again to start with production and everything else. And so it's most often the case that you have time with the restarting, because first of all, the food supply must start, and also the healthcare system should run, so that your staff has enough supply to come to work again and to restart your business.
Exactly, and especially for the private households, you basically already summarized it very well, that there have to be regarding stockpiles of basic nutrition, especially water, especially if you don't have any possibilities, to filter it, regarding to prepare it, what you might be able to collect. Um, yeah, regarding the politics, what would your recommendation be if you right now could speak to several national lawmakers and also officials?
I think there are two major topics. The first one is that we accepted that we are in a critical transformation, and that there could go things bad, and that we have to prepare for such events. And Blackout is only an example. It could be also another event which bring major problems to our supply system. And we know from studies and questioning that most of the people do not have a large stock at home. A third of the people only can self-supply for a few days, for 4 days. Another third can do this for 1 week. And so we have very soon millions of people which are starving. And this is not good to restart anything. And therefore, this self-supply is very important, and this should be addressed much clearer, and people should do this. And on the second hand, we have to make that energy transformation much more in a systemic way, and not as we do it nowadays, which would lead in a major chaos, as we are already in.
Indeed, and your recommendation, if I remember correctly, is that one should be stockpiled for at least 14 days. Yeah, as you said in our German recording quite correctly, as I also mentioned in the beginning, that is that, yeah, the media has been painting very not too favorable pictures of people who prepare, because maybe some regard it as some kind of heresy if you're not trusting the state fully to provide any and anything at any time. But at the same time, which I will link in the description, we for years have had the regarding recommendation of the regarding crisis mitigation agency of the German Republic, for example, where one can get a whole checklist for regarding, okay, I have so many persons in this household, and this is what you should stockpile for these for at least 7 days, for example. So regarding communication and regarding preparation to some extent. For example, I myself in the security and also crisis prevention. So, for example, for me, it's totally sufficient to have a Starlink, to have a regarding power station with so many kilowatt hours, and so I'm able to communicate and work to some extent for at least so and so many hours. Of course, it depends then on the regarding solar capacities, especially when we're talking about winter. But I think we can agree on that appointing a person which overtakes the regarding crisis management in such situation and at least has a regarding one pager ready what is to do in such a situation. But one thing you also mentioned very correctly and which we cannot stress enough is that the culture in company and society is regardingly prepared. And for this, you have developed a really cool tool which is up here on your screen and up here on mine, which is called Neustart. And might you like to elaborate shortly a little on this?
Yes, thank you. It's a crisis simulation on the topic of blackout, and different people have to collaborate to solve the problems which will um, occur during such an event. And it is very successful until now. At the moment, we only have it in German available, but we have already finished the English version, and now we are talking also with NATO and other interest. And I hope we will be able to supply next year also the English version for public. And we have really good feedback from different players and actors who have used it. And so I think it can be really good training to prepare for interconnected crisis, especially with the topic of blackout.
Very glad to hear that the English version is on the way because I already used it myself in some weekend workshops, for example. And yeah, it is a great tool, and I already discussed with several other interview guests who are in the regards of wargaming or in the business of wargaming, especially. There it has been shown that, yeah, on the one hand, if you engage in such kinds of games more often, it basically gets much easier to act under stress and especially come up faster with regarding courses of action for this and this situation. And on the other hand, we also had a short interview on Enforce Tech with regarding trauma psychologist that also very much stressed and confirmed that if one before and projects himself into this and this situation, trauma possibility degrades rapidly, and especially possibility to take action stays high. So really best of luck for publishing this. I can really much recommend it. And to close out, what would some regarding final appeals to the public be from your side?
Mm. So the personal preparation is the most important topic, especially for your own safety, but also in your organization. Because if you are at home and have nothing to eat, you won't come to work, and so we have a problem to restart the whole systems. And the other topic is we have to do it together. So try to cooperate with your neighbors, with your surrounding, at least in the crisis itself, to solve the problems which will happen then. Uh, and we won't be successful if everybody is doing it only for its own. So we need cooperation.
Indeed, and one last insert as you thankfully corrected me when I was basically yeah, getting updates on the things I learned from the internet over time, for example. Um, Please, people, don't fill up your bathtubs the moment the power runs out because, Mr. Saurugg,
Yes, because otherwise there will be major damages to the water infrastructure. Because of air inside the pipes, or the pipes will break, and so it will harm really the infrastructure and will last much, much longer to restart the water supply. So please don't do this. Please store water at home. It's easier. It needs not that much place, but it's much better than do something crazy.
Especially also you spare regarding filtration necessities and everything else. Thank you very much for your elaborations. Good luck for you, and we definitely put a link in regarding description of the video once the new start for English comes out. Thank you very much. Take care.
Great, and thank you for the invitation.
Very welcome.